In some cases, it's not talking about the creator of the universe. We have to be able to discern that. We have to be able to have the eye to see that some of this is manipulation. If there's any slight risk that I could lose my memory system, it scares me.
Billy Carson shocked everyone by claiming Jesus was an alien, not from Earth. He suggests that the miracles of Jesus were actually the work of advanced alien technology. What if everything we've been told about divine miracles is a cover-up for extraterrestrial intervention? Join us as we expose why legendary gods might actually be advanced aliens, hidden in plain sight. The alien technology behind biblical miracles. Carson is challenging the traditional views held about Jesus Christ by offering a very different perspective. He portrays Jesus, or Yeshua, as a figure with significant spiritual power and insight, whose real history and teachings have been changed or hidden over time. His interpretation covers everything from the origins of the name Jesus to his travels and spiritual learning, using a mix of non-traditional texts and historical insights. He starts by exploring the name Jesus, pointing out that the letter J is actually a recent addition to the alphabet. Originally, the name was Isis, which in Greek means "Hail Zeus." He suggests that when people say Jesus, they might unknowingly be referring to the Greek god Zeus. However, he clarifies that the true name is Yeshua, a detail that changes our understanding of Jesus' identity and the culture of his time. But he didn't stop there. He also dives into the places Jesus visited during his life. He looks deeply into the lost years of Jesus, the time between his childhood and the start of his public ministry. He claims that during these years, Jesus traveled to Egypt to study the Egyptian mysteries. He says this part of Jesus' life is recorded in the Gospel of the Holy 12, a text not included in the official Bible. Having traveled to Egypt himself, he even points out the place where Jesus supposedly lived and learned, which has now become a site of pilgrimage. In Egypt, Jesus was said to be a student of Thoth, an Atlantean priest-king known for starting various spiritual and mystical traditions in ancient Egypt. He believes that the knowledge and spiritual practices Jesus learned in Egypt greatly influenced his later teachings. Thoth, respected for his wisdom in areas like writing, math, astronomy, and spiritual practices, taught about Ma'at, representing truth, balance, and order in the universe. These ideas were central to Egyptian culture and spirituality. He suggests that the deep insights Jesus gained from Thoth played a crucial role in shaping his later teachings, which have had a lasting impact on the world. The spiritual insights that Jesus gained in Egypt likely shaped his views on love, compassion, and the divine nature. The teachings of Thoth, an ancient Egyptian figure, included ideas about the soul's journey and existence beyond our physical world. These concepts might have influenced Jesus' thoughts on the divine and life after death. His time with Thoth involved cultural and spiritual exchanges, suggesting that Egyptian teachings played a part in forming early Christian beliefs. This perspective challenges traditional views on what influenced Jesus' teachings early on. He also explores Jesus' travels beyond Egypt, to places like Tibet and India. In Tibet, it is said that Jesus learned techniques like Qigong and Reiki. These practices focus on using life energy for healing and spiritual growth. Leaders like the Dalai Lama have confirmed that these techniques involve manipulating energy to promote healing, relaxation, and spiritual well-being. Reiki, which started in Japan, involves a practitioner channeling this energy through their hands, either by touching or hovering near the patient, aiming to improve well-being and balance energy fields, often called aura or qi. Reiki's history goes back to early 20th century Japan, developed by Mikao Usui. He taught that Reiki could be used to heal oneself and others. Today, Reiki is recognized worldwide, with various schools of practice, but it keeps the core idea of healing through energy. He also believes that in India, Jesus studied mystic arts and ideas about reincarnation. These studies influenced his understanding of life, death, and the soul. Mainstream Christianity often overlooks or rejects these parts of Jesus' teachings, focusing more on his divine nature rather than his human experiences and search for wisdom. But this wasn't the most surprising part. Central to his discussions is the idea of Christ consciousness, which he describes as a state of higher spiritual awareness and unity with the divine. He argues that Jesus' main teaching was about reaching this state of Christ consciousness, not just about his physical return. He believed Jesus wanted everyone to achieve this state, marked by deep love, compassion, and connection to the universe. According to him, Jesus' revolutionary teachings aimed to help people realize their divine potential and live in harmony with the world. Much of this information, he points out, was left out of the official biblical texts. He argues that understanding these broader aspects of Jesus' life and teachings can give us a more complete picture of his mission and message. By looking at the influences from Egypt, Tibet, and India, we can see how Jesus' ideas were shaped by various cultures and spiritual practices. But the story doesn't end there. These broader influences suggest that Jesus' teachings were a fusion of many different spiritual traditions, aiming to bring people closer to a universal truth. His work encourages us to open our minds and consider how these different spiritual practices might still be relevant today. So he believes that the spiritual insights Jesus gained in Egypt, along with his travels to Tibet and India, played a significant role in shaping his teachings. The ideas from Thoth, Qigong, Reiki, and mystic arts all contributed to his understanding of the divine and human existence. This perspective challenges conventional views and highlights the importance of looking at Jesus' life as a journey of spiritual discovery. Next, let's see how Carson's views compare to the traditional Bible stories. Evolution of a religious masterpiece. The Bible, which is a collection of sacred writings, is considered divinely inspired by many religious communities. For Christians, it usually includes the Old Testament and the New Testament, though different Christian groups might have slightly different versions. The creation of the Bible as we know it today didn't happen overnight. It took many centuries to come together. In ancient times, early Christian communities shared various texts and documents. These included letters from apostles, stories about Jesus' life and teachings, historical records, and prophecies. As Christianity spread, different regions developed their own collections of these sacred texts. Early writings, such as the letters of Paul and the Gospels that tell about Jesus' life, were widely respected and shared among Christian groups. Deciding which texts were truly inspired by God involved a lot of debate among church leaders and scholars. They considered factors like whether a text was connected to an apostle, whether it was consistent with Christian teachings, and whether it was accepted by many Christian communities. Several important church councils in the 4th century, like the Councils of Hippo in 393 AD and Carthage in 397 AD, played a crucial role in deciding which texts would be part of the New Testament. These councils recognized certain texts as authoritative and left out others that didn't meet their criteria. The Old Testament's canon, or official list of books, was established even before Christianity, mostly by Jewish leaders. Early Christians adopted these Jewish scriptures as their Old Testament, though they sometimes arranged the books differently. By the late 4th century, the list of books for both the Old and New Testaments was pretty much settled in the Western Christian Church, with only minor differences in the Eastern Church. Over time, this collection of sacred texts became the universally accepted Bible among Christians. But this wasn't the most challenging part. Some argue that key aspects of Jesus' life and teachings have been downplayed. They believe that organized religion has sometimes hidden knowledge that could empower individuals and challenge the status quo. Carson believes that many non-canonical texts and historical interpretations were left out of the Bible on purpose. He thinks these texts offer important insights into Jesus' life and teachings that were excluded to maintain existing power structures. He encourages people to explore these alternative sources and think critically about the traditional stories they've been told. His interest in these different views on Jesus comes from his upbringing in a home that encouraged questioning and exploring religious texts. This led him to notice inconsistencies and seek a deeper understanding. Through his extensive studies and personal experiences, he has explored many spiritual traditions and texts, shaping his current beliefs. He is well known in the fields of ancient history, archaeology, and space exploration, As an author, researcher, and speaker, he explores big topics like where humans come from and ancient civilizations. He also looks at how these topics connect to the larger questions about the universe. His interest in space led him to study ancient texts and artifacts, helping him understand humanity's past. He started Forbidden Knowledge, Inc., an organization that shares information about ancient societies, the possibility of life on other planets, and old advanced technologies. His platform attracts a global audience eager to explore different views on history and science. One of his major projects is studying ancient civilizations and their advanced technologies. He believes that many ancient societies had knowledge and skills that traditional history often misses. He studies ancient documents like Sumerian clay tablets, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and sacred texts from India, suggesting they might show evidence of advanced science and technology from those times. He is also a big supporter of space exploration and the search for life beyond Earth. He thinks that ancient writings and archaeological findings might show that humans have interacted with extraterrestrial beings in the past. This idea challenges the usual views on human history and our place in the universe. It makes people think more deeply about where we come from and the chances of meeting other intelligent beings in the future. As an author, he has written several books, including Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. In this book, he explores the teachings of Thoth, an ancient Egyptian figure known for knowledge and wisdom. He connects these ancient teachings with modern science and spirituality, showing how life is interconnected. He also speaks at international conferences and events, where he combines scientific facts with spiritual insights. His lively presentations encourage people to think differently about history and the universe. He challenges accepted stories and invites his audience to question what they know about reality. He also talks about how religious groups have changed or hidden teachings that could challenge their power. For example, he believes that Jesus' teachings were meant to show humanity its divine nature and connectedness. He also points out that many Christian rituals come from older pagan practices, which complicates traditional views of Jesus and his message. In one of his podcasts, he introduces a controversial idea, that Jesus might have been an alien. This bold claim, along with stories from his friends in Miami and New Orleans, adds a personal touch to his rethinking of biblical events. He also highlights contradictions in the Bible, like destructive acts commanded by God compared to the lesser-known actions of the devil. This part of his discussion especially grabs listeners' attention and sparks debates about his views. Now, we'll see how Carson thinks extraterrestrials influenced biblical events. The hidden forces behind biblical destructions. Carson suggests that the violent commands in the Bible, like the total destruction of cities, are often attributed to God. But he proposes a different idea. Maybe these actions were directed by highly advanced beings, not the God we usually think of. This idea challenges the usual way we interpret the divine and encourages us to look at ancient writings in a new way. The Bible has many stories where God destroys cities as a form of punishment. One famous example is the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 18:19. These cities were known for their wickedness. God told Abraham about his plan to destroy them, and Abraham tried to find enough good people to save the cities. Unfortunately, there weren't enough, so God rained fire and sulfur, completely destroying them. Another story is the fall of Jericho in Joshua 6. Here, God told the Israelites, led by Joshua, to take the city. After marching around the city walls for a week and then shouting as God instructed, the walls collapsed. This showed God's power and judgment. In the book of Revelation, there's a prophecy about the fall of Babylon, symbolizing deep wickedness. An angel announces its doom, highlighting the punishment for its sins and the suffering it caused. But this isn't the most surprising part. He bases his theory on ancient texts, like the Book of Enoch, which tells of the angel Azazel teaching humans about weapons and armor. He believes this shows these beings were not just angels, but advanced entities or extraterrestrials with superior technology. These beings often looked like humans, but had extraordinary abilities, as mentioned in various ancient texts. For example, the Bible talks about the Anakim, giant beings that ancient people worshipped. He also talks about the Anunnaki from ancient Mesopotamia, known as powerful celestial beings. Expanding on the idea of celestial visitors, he points to legends from different cultures. Aboriginal Australian elders talk about the Pleiadians, extraterrestrial beings they believe created humanity. Other indigenous groups have similar stories about star brothers, showing that these ancient encounters are documented in art and literature. But here's the twist. He also connects these ideas to Jesus. He suggests that Jesus was a mix of human and extraterrestrial origins. He mentions the virgin birth and stories from apocryphal texts about Jesus' grandmother, arguing that these advanced beings planned Jesus' lineage. He believes Jesus' extraordinary abilities came from this unique ancestry. He talks about the Emerald Tablets, old writings that tell stories of special beings who can appear in any world they choose. He suggests that Jesus was like these beings, able to move between different worlds and live many lives. This idea shows Jesus not just as a holy figure, but as someone from another planet. He explains the advanced technology these beings supposedly had. He talks about rejuvenation chambers mentioned in the old texts. He believes these chambers allowed the beings to move their minds into different bodies, letting them renew themselves and live much longer. In a podcast, he discusses the Serapeum in Saqqara, Egypt, where he thinks one of these chambers is hidden. He describes large stone boxes made of granite and diorite that he claims still give off radioactive energy. According to him, these boxes were used to create and keep bodies, allowing these beings to refresh themselves and keep their minds active in new bodies. He argues that this technology for body renewal and mind transfer let these beings live for thousands of years. He even suggests that Jesus might have used similar techniques to overcome death and reappear in different forms. This theory challenges the usual religious stories and offers a new way to understand old myths and legends. But this isn't the most surprising part. He is very sure about his research, having spent a lot of time studying ancient writings and gathering evidence. He knows his ideas might shock some people, but he thinks our standard education and old beliefs limit our understanding of history. He criticizes the education system for limiting creativity and making people follow beliefs without questioning them. He believes many traditional views are outdated and not based on solid science. In contrast, he bases his theories on a deep look at old texts, archaeological discoveries, and scientific facts. He compares his method to building a legal case, using bits of evidence from different times and areas to support his views. He prides himself on his ability to bring together information from many sources, unlike other researchers who focus narrowly. He also reinterprets biblical figures like Yahweh and Satan through ancient Sumerian writings. He controversially identifies Yahweh, usually seen as God, as Satan. He talks about the ancient land of Eden as a place where genetic experiments took place, suggesting a different role for Yahweh. He introduces Enki, Yahweh's brother, equating him with Satan. He says Enki gave humans knowledge about their true potential, a move that led to the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible. When Yahweh found out, he cursed Enki and branded him as the devil, shifting the idea of the devil to a wicked figure. But this isn't even the strangest part. He discusses his disapproval of modern satanic practices, clarifying that his views are based on metaphysics and understanding frequencies, not traditional religious beliefs. He doesn't deny the existence of a creator, but sees it as a frequency, not a being. He expands on his idea of a universal consciousness where all beings are connected through shared frequencies. This challenges traditional views on individuality and divinity, promoting a view of a more unified existence. His exploration through ancient texts and modern interpretations offers a fresh perspective on old religious narratives. However, many question his credibility. Critics say his interpretations stray far from traditional Christian teachings and lack strong academic support, relying more on speculative ideas than on solid evidence. They argue that while exploring different views can be interesting, it should be done with careful scholarship and respect for established beliefs. Do you think ancient texts could truly redefine our understanding of religious figures and the universe? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more.